Sign up now at elevate.miami.edu for my course, Organized Rhyme. Looking at the word legacy, while involving some wordplay, I'll use the first syllable to build upon. We'll use the first syllable, leg. For the second syllable, we'll use an. And for the third syllable, we'll use the word knee. So now we have leg and knee. Can we use it in context with legacy? Let's just see. What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of What Words Are Worth. And today, I got a guest that, man, this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast. Lyricist, artist, musician. I mean, this person is special when it comes to creating music. And, you know, we always wonder, like, you hear the music and you're like, man, this is dope. I wonder how they came up with this. Well, today you're going to find out. One of the dope artists out there, extremely lyrical. On What Words Is Worth, today we got Homeboy Sandman. Let's get it.
What up? What up, Words?
Yo, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I'm feeling great. I'm honored and excited to be on the pod, yo.
Man, this is the reason why I started the podcast, because artists like yourself being able to.
Did we just lose each other? Okay. Froze. You doing a robot or what?
Right. Yeah. So often not getting the notoriety that I feel like you deserve. So this is real dope, man, to like really talk to you. And then we've crossed certain places, and like especially in New York, you had to be there to rap and get the name out there. And then I delved into like reading about like you were hosting in New Eureka for some time.
Yeah. But that was after, I started around when I was 26,
Okay.
So I heard, I knew the legend of the New York, you know what I'm saying? And when Bob was there, and my sister was actually there the night, because my sister, she was a poet, and she was getting hers doing poetry from time to time. And she was there on the night when Black Thought and Common showed up, called themselves whatever it was, lesbian sex cult or whatever it was, and just hopped up. Like, she was there that night because Black Thought was already my favorite rapper. She was like, yo, I just seen your favorite rapper at the New York. And I wasn't there for any of that. It wasn't until afterwards, after Flacco, big shout out to Flacco Navaja, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, big up.
Yeah. And Wise and Gaston been getting it for a while, but that I've heard so much about that golden era of the New York, when like cats was in there that was historical landmark figures on a regular basis, such as yourself and so many contemporaries.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to be associated with it, to a degree though,
Yeah, man. It's that spot was rhyming outside at 3 a.m. after it ended, and man, so many just coming up outside, especially getting on the mic there. That started that word of mouth. Like right there, it started word of mouth, and now they're like redoing it. So I'm interested to see how they redo it, because you remember upstairs was real tight. Downstairs. So I'm wondering how it's gonna look now.
They redoing the building?
Yeah, they're remodeling the New Eurekan right now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it might be finished, but they're remodeling it. So I'm interested to see like how much space they get out of it now compared to before. But yeah, man. So I wanted to talk to you about origin. So the name. Let's go with the name first. How'd you get this name?
Shoot, man. The name initially was, I had this thing, me and my boys, we always would come up with nicknames for each other. You know what I mean? That was the thing. I remember when the Wu-Tang come out and they all had nicknames.
Yeah.
And I actually, not that Wu-Tang was biting from us, but me and my crew, we was out the quadrant where we called ourselves, as 4 of us. It was like Squadron of 4. We already had bad nicknames. So we saw that. I remember when the Source came out and they had Method Man, Johnny Blaze, Ghostface Killer, Tony Starks. And I was like, we already been on this, But I was always kind of thinking of different nicknames for myself, during junior high school. It was just a fun thing to do, But it was when I was in college at one point that I just come up with this name, Homeboy Sandman. I don't really know where it come from, or it was just an intuitive. I stopped after that. I was like, this is my favorite one. It's kind of unusual, but it's kind of flavor. I just like the flavor of it. I don't really know where it comes from. But since then, I've come to recognize the meaning of it as, the journey of my life and my growth. You know what I mean? Beginning in my
Yeah.
home as a boy. You know what I mean? And everything that my early years to sin, sin being a metaphor for time, sin's the time for person to
Right.
sin, to becoming a man, homeboy Sandman. You know what I mean? So that's what it really means to me now. But it's had a bunch of other meanings, but I think that's the main one.
So then hearing your song in the Olympics, what was that moment like for you? Just like, did you know already that it was going to be there, or was like more like getting that text?
I did. I mean, that text. I was in the. Me and my wife were in the bedroom. We were reading.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, my phone started to just smoke. You know what I mean? Smoke coming out the phone. Beyond recognition. The first cat to hit me up was Crazy Legs. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Which was fly to me, giving the whole thing. But yeah, I guess everybody was watching it. A lot of mad people was watching it. And mad people. So mad people send me videos like, yo, so I got videos of everybody in their house with their television screen. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, this is da. That was amazing. It made me feel so great for the guy because, and big shout, what's the name of it? Flag, big shout DJ Flag, who I never met, but we have some people in common. And big shout to DJ DP1, you know what I'm saying? DP1 was
DP1. That's my guy. We went to South Africa together. DP1
Say word?
Yeah. He was my DJ going to South Africa.
DP1 DJ for you.
Yeah.
That's fly. Yeah, DP1 is that dude, man. He was the first dude to give that run with the breakers. You know what I'm saying? He gave that run years ago, and because he was down with the Red Bull things, the Red Bull.
Right.
So he gave that run there, and that it started to pick up some traction with that community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So big shout to DP1, but it's the type of thing that like it's been a great look, not only for spreading the jam, not only for the next publishing check that I'm waiting on, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But also just to creating good, my manager sends it around for tour, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a good asset, like the Olympic, you know what I mean? Like, it's a good look, but it's the type of look that only Guy could provide, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I could have never been like, how do I get my gym in the Olympics? You know what I'm saying? So for somebody like me, like, much of my exposure is dependent on those types of looks, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I think it's incredible just based on the fact that like, the way the style of the song is. So like listening to it, I'm like, that's what was dope for me listening to the music, like going through the music. I was like, there's no fear in the styles of music you make. That's what I love about listening to your music. It's just like, yo, this loop is fire, this beat is fire. I'm rapping to it and let's just rock. It's just really that vibe of that freedom of just let's just rock. So how did you develop that confidence of this is fire? I like it. I'm a rock to it.
Dag, word up. That's very much my, I got a bunch of producers that I work with, and they're, some of them recognize that I'm like, yo, let's just cook this, and it don't got like we don't got to spend 7 years on the joint. You know what I'm saying? Let's cook it, let's serve it. You know what I'm saying?
Because we're overthinkers a lot of times as artists.
Yeah, without a doubt. And me personally, I try to keep, we'll get into this, but I try to keep as much of that in my head as possible. What I mean is, so I'm working on a ROM, and like I'm going through whatever structures or whatever format or whatever words or whatever it is. But once I get it out there, like once I either write it or put it on my phone, then it's good. Like I'll try to do most of the thinking in my head, you know what I mean? And that might take days, or that might take minutes or hours or whatever it is. But I've tried to try and combat the overthinking. I've tried to get myself to when my intuition tells me this is ready.
Yep.
And then cool, I'm ready to let it out, But
yeah, that's one of my first questions is paper, pen, computer, phone, writing in your head. How do you do it?
You know what I'm saying? The phone is so easy, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I used to have the pads. I was one of the last cats with the pad. I was one of the last cats with the CD player. Back in the days of the New Yo, you know, when I was hosting there, I would always go there with my fat CD player. I would burn CDs with instrumentals on them. You know what I mean? I was class cat with that. I had my pen. I had a flip phone when Cat still had, you know, when Cat started getting the big, you know, rectangular phones. But I go with the, you know, it's pretty convenient now with the Notes app. You know what I mean? To just throw it in there, you know. And plus, I don't not only got the Notes app, but then I got the voice memos, which allow me to keep what the flow is. Like I'm wondering, how do you ever? I'm thinking to myself, all the flows on my first couple of records must have been mad different than the way that I wrote them. But then I got to I remember being in the studio all the time. Like, how did I want to say this? Like, how did I want to say this line? And I would just try to get it to a place that I felt I was, you know, this sounds pretty hot. This must have been how I meant to say it. But so the voice, the Note app and the voice memo, that's a competent pairing right there.
Yeah, I've been talking to people, and some people still doing the writing because they feel like there's a spiritual connection with the writing aspect of it. And then start even hearing like ideas of like, which is kind of ill, kind of artistically with it. Well, like so you know, Pooh from the Little Brother, he was on some vibe of like he keeps his rhymes, he writes sometimes still, and had it framed as a gift for somebody before. So I thought that was ill. Then I've heard also people the indentation from the writing also can pretty much describe the emotion you put into it. So if you're upset, it might be deeper scribing going on into the paper. I was so that's why I like talking to people. It is kind of ill when I start hearing like, yeah, I like to write. When I'm mad, I'm pressing harder with the pen. And when I'm doing that, and then hearing that people actually framing it, and then, you know, a lot of the stuff we're writing in general are books and whatnot, you know? So it's interesting.
Yeah, I was saying that last night I watched the new Shyamalan movie, the
Trap.
Yeah, I seen that. You see it?
Watched it, yeah.
My boy Danny Sanger, he was telling me Cass is mad. I ain't mad. I mean, I thought it was cool, you know what I'm saying? I didn't think it was, to me, Sixth Sense, crazy. Unbreakable, crazy. And Split, lie. So a lot of the other ones, he's like the last one that come out, the Cabin in the Woods joint, that I didn't rock with that at all. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think it's the fact that the guy has dropped some serious hits that people be getting mad if his joint is not like joint just like if Bloomhouse had come out with the trap joint, cats would be like, oh, fly, because Bloomhouse don't really got that same standards. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I bring it up because, you know, they had the woman in it, the profiler, who was like, I could tell from this cat's murders, you know, what this cat is. And that's what it made me think of when you was talking about, you know, maybe there's a profiler that could look at a ROM and be able to tell, you know, this cat, not only is he left-handed, right-handed, he was mad, he's whatever age, you know what I'm saying?
You might be giving out a concept right now.
Yeah,
you might be giving out a concept. Yeah, that's kind of ill. That might be ill for a movie, video, whatever the case may be, you know. So I'm actually gonna ask you about that too, because I saw a lot of that stuff with how you know, transition with the videos and awards and stuff like that too. But yeah, I do find it interesting that people find a different connection. I've transitioned to the computer and the phone and all that too, just for convenience purposes. But I do find it interesting that people still got the books but a lot of that stuff is actually becoming like the library nowadays. Like down the line, like I believe we're the latest teachers, we're the new teachers of, you know, what you write and what you rhyme about is going to be studied. I think there's going to be a hip hop authors library, just like only us, you know what I'm saying? So I love the connection of what people get from it when they're writing it, but like whatever way you get it done, at the end of the day, as long as it's recorded and people dig it, you know.
Word to that. I feel you though on the museum. You know, I see the future like that. I know we doing something special out here.
Yeah, for sure. So when you're writing, what is it? Chorus or verse first?
I would say it's normally verses first. I would say probably 70-75% of the time, even 80% of the time, it is verses first. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So for the most part, I'll have all three verses finished, and then I'll go to the hook. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of my hooks is like, I wrote 3 verses. What's just something that sounds fly to have to bring them together? Or other times I have written about a whole thing, and then I'm like, all right, I need a hook that fit with this stuff specifically. But a lot of times, not a lot of times, but sometimes the hook will come to me first. And I really love those types of jams because for me, a lot of time, like cooking, verses, a lot of time, I'll spend as much time coming up on an 8-bar hook as I did writing 3/16s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
within the 16s, there's so much, like we got to be on rhythm. It got to sound fly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But within that, we could do whatever we want. Like we could bounce here, we could bounce there. We could
Right.
keep the same thing no matter what it is. I feel like the hook, there's a lot of space in there too. But I feel like just something about, I feel it's more important to keep it melodic in the hook. That doesn't mean I don't like it melodic in the verse, but in the verse, if I got a stupid line that ain't even melodic at all, but I just hit you with that dumb line right there that ain't even melodic, you got 15 more bars of melodic, so that line could just shine,
Yeah. When I was listening to the Rich 2 project, I hear like just one thing, and then you just let that live. But it sounds dope. It sounds rhythmic to it. It has its own flow to it, and then the verses pop off, stuff like that. So I definitely understand. Like you let it breathe. Like you would let it breathe. You might drag it out, and the cadence of what you're saying it, and then let the verses come back in and kind of like accentuate the hook, and you drop the music too.
Yeah, true. I like to play with negative space for sure. When you talk about like letting it breathe, like I like to do that in a rhyme and a hook. I don't feel the need sometimes to. I sometimes like I like to give it space if I feel like that's already beautiful to hear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though sometimes I do be like, yo, this beat is so fly, I don't even got to do nothing here. But I'll be like, I know that'd be better if I did something there. You know what I mean? So I'll try not to just be lazy with it. But if I feel like it can do it, if it's already pretty and perfect, I'll leave it there.
Yeah, so like with your writing style, like me listening to your writing style, what's so dope to me about listening to you write is that it's poetic one, but your second lines always are strong. Like your setup sure that it's potent. It's potent. Like every line after the second bar to whatever the line is, it's always potent. Like those even lines, it's like the setups are so dope, man. So like when I was listening to it, it gets me like there's a lot of rappers that we rap, but to me, I think there's a certain amount of us that take pride in that almost like perfection there. Like, what am I saying here? So that's what I felt when I was listening to you rap. It's like you take a lot of pride in making sure you accentuate what you're trying to say with these couplets.
Yeah, without any doubt, man. And thanks for saying that. And that is super duper important to me because of the fact of like, I don't hip hop got so many different types of practitioners, and there's all different types of people making music and everything. And I'm trying to find out not only what feels best to me, but not only it feels best to me, but it serves me best and put me in the most control as an artist, in control of my life, and in control of my art, and in control of that's my thing. I don't want no wasted lines. That's one of my things. I got different things, but so everybody that listen to hip hop don't listen for every single line, and I respect that. There's all types of listeners, there's all types of artists.
For sure.
I think a lot of the cats that listen to me, all the cats that listen for every single line, all the cats that'll be like, yo, I like that record, but there was some lines in there that anybody could have written. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get hit with that line didn't impress me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if that would hit me with that, I'll be like, you don't know what you're talking about. But I don't want to feel that with myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, so the filler lines, just because the song could still be hot, the beat could still be hot, the hook could still be hot. So I'm not saying that I never, now I've been rapping however many years, 17 years. I've come to a place where I realize it don't feel good to me to have a song that could be a good song that's missing some lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Listening to like the songs and like hearing the cadences that you choose. Also, some of the cadences, it might just be like kind of like 1, 2, 3, 4, like kind of like up and down. But even if it's like you might stop that, watch that. Even you're doing those like flows like that part and that line is still fire. It's not even like you don't take off. Even if it's just that close that you get into the next rhyme, I was listening. I was like, yo, that's fire. That's fire right there to connect. Because it could be simple stuff that dudes could kind of cop out. And I was listening. I was like, he don't cop out. He don't cop out on the bars, you know.
You know who one of my favorite cats, you know, when I listen to you talk about just because I used to be a huge Freeway fan. Freeway, you know what I mean? Freeway don't say but 50 words. You know what I'm saying? Probably his whole career is 50, you know, like I'm on the block, I got the, you know, it's the tech, you know, on the street, whatever. But the way he puts it there is that's what he does that make me want to listen to it so much. He take them 50 words and he just rearrange them. Who know how many combinations you can do with 50? And I know you know, I'm a fan. I'm not trying to get at him. You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is the placement, you know, that. So when you talking about that, like I think that's something that I probably learned from listening to cats like Freeway who are like, yo, you can you can have a piece, but you got to place it right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, placement is dope because you know, we got the rhyme, the long sentence form. We got that we typically got to rhyme like that. We have that sentence and then the couplets, you know, but then you got your other joints when you just like I said, it could be two bars, two rhymes right here, the next two rhymes right here, the next two rhymes right there. And it's so meticulous, you know. So I wanted to definitely, I got to tell you all this stuff because some stuff I hadn't heard, you know what I'm saying? So it's like me going back and listening. I'm like, yo, now I see why Wise Guy and Gaston to be like Homeboy Sandman or anybody I talk to. They're like, you got to go listen. Yo, Ace, Master Ace.
Oh, good. Yo, big shouts to Master Ace, man. Master Ace was just kicking up my boy True Master, and he shouted me out and let me know that Ace, that he mentioned me to Ace and that Ace showed love, and I, you know, I felt elated. You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
yo, when I met Ace, it was at a Fat Beats record store day or something like that.
Yeah.
What did I do? I confused. Maybe I called it Terror Dome instead of Slaughter. I made some mistake trying to same as I would have done to you. I think I might have called it Terror Dome instead of Slaughterhouse or something like that. Yeah. Something that made him think, oh, this cat don't know what he's talking about. Oh, this is all in my head. But I just hold Ace in that type of regard that that I walked away like, dang, I said that wrong. So I'm glad we squashed that.
Yeah, I spoke to him the other day and I was like, yeah, you know, posted an interview, Homeboy Sandman. He was like, oh, he's dope. That's all he said, like that. He went straight to that. And I was like, word, if Ace say you dope, because I talk to Ace every day, literally every day of my life. You know what I'm saying?
That made me feel amazing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so he was like, oh, he's dope. So because Ace is very particular. And so if he say you dope, then he really dig you, know?
You know what he's talking about, sure.
So what about writing in the studio? Like, do you prefer to go out and write, if you know, or like be at home and then bring the rhyme to the studio?
I write everywhere. I write at home.
Okay.
I write when I'm exercising. I write in the plane. I write in the train. I write on the bike. Wow. I'm always writing. You know, like, you know, if I'm on the bike, you know, I could ride with no hands. I could take the phone out, write a couple things, make a voice note. I don't know if it's safe or whatever, but so far, so far, thank God. But I write everywhere. You know, I guess, you know, I got married last year or early this year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good looking out. And now that my wife and I live together, I guess I write at home a little bit less, just because I don't want to be inundating her by just playing beats on repeat. You know, like. But even though I'll do that to her sometimes, but I try to give her some, you know, a break. You know what I mean? So I'll take it outside. So I guess I write at home a little bit less. But in the studio, like, you know, if you gave me a shot and you was like, yo, boy, saying I got the studio, let's you know, come through and cook, I'll be like, boom, let's do that. I'll be there and write in the studio. But whenever I have the opportunity to have the thing done before I get to the studio, I like to take that opportunity because you know, like I want to be efficient in the studio. Right. So it depends. But given the opportunity, I'll write in the studio. Writing in the studio would be my last thing. Like I'd rather have the prep. I'd rather have the you know, when I got my own setup now over here. So you know the studio's right over there. You know, on the kitchen table. But you know, but before that, I would always I would do a little demo on GarageBand so I could even hear the joint on the way to the studio, you know, 20 times so that when I got there, I laid it in 1 or 2 takes, you know? So I'm not
And,
studio writing is my last resort.
and then how long does it take? Verse, song, like.
I mean, sometimes I write 4 or 5 verses a day. Sometimes I write a whole jam and another couple of. I still be on my 3 verses, on my 3/16s. Maybe I'll write 2 32s or something like that, or maybe one long. But I don't be on my 16s like the kids be. But shouts to them, But so however though, I wrote a joint called Art for my next mixtape that took a whole week to write. You know what I mean? So it kind of depends. And I was just working through it. Didn't even write anything for like 4 days. I was just trying to let it settle. Like for a long time though, sometimes not for long, but sometimes for a long time there'll be like a germination period. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where I'll just have the beat and I'm just kind of getting. I'm sure there's some subconscious thing going on just with the format of it, because then once it starts to come out, once I break the seal, then it's fine. It's ongoing.
Right.
But I would say if I need to, since I'm writing all the time, I would say, a couple verses a day, you know what I'm saying? If not a song a day. Beats I don't really do, but I loop something up, you know what I'm saying, for a mixtape,
Right.
But songs, hooks, like I said, hooks could take me longer. Hooks could take me a day or 2 or 3, or I remember one hook took me 3 weeks one time, you know what I'm saying, but finally it come to me, But but the verses, I think the verses is my like strong, there's a triathlon or whatever, like the swimming or whatever and the other. Like
Right.
verses is my strongest one. You know what I mean? I try to build up my lead in verses because I got to take some more time with hooks.
So how was it for you to like transition from being a rapper, right, and become MC, then become a professional rapper, right, and then dealing with the same question of time, knowing that, yo, Homeboy Sandman, there's a Sprite commercial or something, we need it by tomorrow, and then understand. You remember? So now that changes your whole time frame. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Well, the first time I got in, it was with a Odyssey record,
okay,
on Odd Winter, and Rosenberg got me in the studio with Odyssey to be on Odd Winter. And that was my first time writing in the studio, because before that I had always been able to take as much time as I wanted. And what I did was I took a shortcut, which I don't know if you take it, but I took a shortcut and I had something that I hadn't used for anything that wound up being most of the thing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
But then I went back and I listened to that and I was like, I wouldn't have written it that way. It was still fly, nobody would have known.
right,
But I was like, but I wouldn't have written it that way, So I think it definitely took some time to get the comfort of
yeah, yeah.
I'm here, I got an hour, just like do it. It took some time for sure, but I didn't feel comfortable the first 5, maybe 10 times, but I
Yeah,
never shied away from it. I said I'm gonna go in there and do my best.
right.
And I remember I did a joint with it was called Super Friends. It was like 8 MCs on like an 8-minute joint. I remember Mickey Fax was putting it together at the time. I wrote that in studio and I was like, I'm just going to do the best that I can. And when it came out, I was like, oh snap, I'm getting the hang of this. You know what I mean? Like that was pretty tough, So I remember that being like the breaking point where I'm like, oh, I could do this.
Yeah, because I always, we would love to have the time as much as we want. And then when you get kind of some notoriety, it's going to be a point, I think, for a lot of artists when it's like, yo, I need that by tomorrow. I need this. And yo, come down now. We doing it. And I always try to mention these type of things so artists can kind of get the understanding, like, yo, your time frame ain't going to always be your time frame. You might want it to be, but like, and then do you miss the opportunity? Or
you got to go for it, Like me, that
go.
was my thing. I was like, yo, I'm gonna still go for it, even though I don't feel as sharp as I would. That's why I'm gonna, work the muscle. You know what I'm saying? But no, you're right. It's good for you to tell cats that in advance too, because they can start putting them in the right mind frame.
Yeah. So what about punch in, or you got to do the verse straight through?
That really depends. I do remember that it used to always be about straight through for me. And then I remember hearing a Joel Ortiz line, your engineer is a boxer, he got to punch you. And I was like, yeah, like so many lines that I thought I was like, you know, Black Thought said it one time, I never use a cordless or stand applaudless, you know, sipping cord, fell out of ill silver gauntlets. And for that, I was like, yo, I'm never using a cordless mic. Just off that. You know what I'm saying?
Yo, it's funny. It's funny because that's real. Like we hear something in the verse, dudes stop changing their gear. You know, we change our clothes. I think Lil Wayne stopped writing because he heard Jay didn't write no more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why he went in the booth one day and he went with all his books. And then he said all his rhymes in the book, so he could never have them in no more in the book. Because Jay-Z, he was trying to be the best rapper, and if the best rapper doesn't write in the books, that's why Lil Wayne stopped writing. But it's funny how we find these things to say this makes me the best because I do this now. We start adding these little obstacles, like you said, with I gotta go straight through because I remember those stages of like. Even engineers, or you might be around a producer and they be like, nah, you could do it. You could go straight through with that. Yo, say it again. You like, you know, now that I'm older with it, I'll be like, I don't need to go straight through with this. You know what I'm saying?
Why are we wasting everybody's time, man?
Yo, right? Yo, it's so crazy. But we would set these little things we hear in a song, and now you like, oh, all right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you adopt that. You know what I'm saying? It's part of your. I adopted as part of mine. That's because what we doing is powerful stuff, man. That's why I feel you on the museum. You know what I mean? Like, Cass had me not punching. Cass had me not using cordless. Cass got Cass not writing. Like, you know, there's some influential stuff we got going on.
Yeah, it's so wild. Like, Black Thought always got the long wire. So you rock with the long cord and everything still?
Now I use a cordless, and mad time they sound mad better. And I'm just like, I was bugging. But that's the reason why I was bugging. Like, that just come to mind. And now I'll punch too. Now I'll especially punch sometimes for musicality. Because like I say, or now I got my own setup that I've had for like 6 months now. So now I do a lot of punching there because I don't know the rhyme. Like now I could write the rhyme earlier today and lay it when I get home. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I won't even know the rhyme. So I'll bust a couple of lines, stop it, bust a couple more, stop it. You know, so the whole thing, because I'm not even familiar with this rhyme. But before, like I said, I used to know the rhyme, so I could go all the way through if I wanted to. But sometimes, just within the orientation of getting the sound perfectly right, because I know for me, when I record a jam, like I come to a point with a jam after doing it live, that like that jam is. I know where the right places to breathe when I'm doing it live. I know the right place. Like I know this jam inside out. I could be looking at people in the crowd and thinking 20 different things. I could be thinking about what I'm gonna do after I got the jam. You know what I mean? But before that, a lot of times what helps me with punching is if I want a certain part to have a certain musicality that I you know maybe comes in off this, but I haven't gotten familiar enough with the joint yet that it's easier to just punch it, then I'll definitely punch it then, because then I could always still learn the jam, and then by the time I'm performing it, then I'll know that and I'll be able to perform that like it sound, even though I wasn't able to record it like I perform it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to just see how after a while dudes is on some, man, F that, man. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna get this song done, whatever way, you know, all these hidden obstacles we're putting on ourselves. So with the listening to you, the storytelling is phenomenal, right? So like the Need a Woman record, like the records you write, man, like the stories, the way you tell them, they hit home. And then you're able to translate those songs into videos that you've won awards for, and they get this worldwide recognition from it. So how important is it for you to be able to storytell over just kind of braggadocious?
For me, it's mad important. You know what I mean? You know, for me, Slick Rick was my dude as a kid. You know, later Ghostface was my dude. You know what I mean? Like the ability to, you know, before I got to the real meaning of Sandman, part of the meaning was Sandman, I'm gonna bring you into this dream. It's gonna be so detailed, you're gonna feel like you're there. Like I'm gonna bring you into a dream. You know what I mean? So, you know, I love this verse is going to talk about how busy I get and I'm going to really cook that way. You know what I mean? I love doing that. But I got one line in the jam that says, sometimes I feel like I forgot how to just rap. Let me take a second to adjust that. You know what I'm saying? Because for a long time, it was so important to me to be like, yo, you know, I want to have an ill narrative. Like it was I got very caught up in like, you know, painting these vivid pictures, which
Right.
is, you know, very important to me. But I feel they're both important. But the ability to really tell, you know, like I feel like the rappers that I've, you know, navigated to or gravitated to a great deal, have always had that ability to paint, you know, to maintain a narrative of this is why, you know, even starting from, you know, I'm in junior high with a D plus grade, the Boogie Down, Love's Gonna Get You. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember that. I was like, yo, this is fly. Like, this is like watching a movie or something like that. This is an episode of the KRS-One of the Boogie Down production show.
That's one of my favorite lines ever in hip hop. Kiss my mother, go up, punch my brother. I thought that was so ill because people do that. You know what I'm saying? So Love's Gonna Get You is one of my favorite records ever, just because how he did. Now is that with the cheese, like the graphic of it and the pacing of it was so ill too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but the pace, the way the story builds up, I started to look for that. You know, I brought up Slick Rick, like, you know, children's story is but even, you know, when I'm in Indian town, what chord is Davy Crockett, that joint, what was it called? Indian Girl was his joint? Like, I was too young to be listening to that.
Dave, you know? I think it's Davy Crockett.
Davy Crockett. Yeah, I was too young to be listening to that, but he painted a graphic X-rated tale that I loved as a kid.
Yeah, my favorite became G-Rap, you know, and Cool G-Rap, it was so wild because throughout the city, a lot of times when I was younger with it, everybody said G-Rap was the best, but he didn't have the notoriety. Mm-hmm. But you would know like G-Rap was considered one of the best, and that's one of the things that is just kind of hip-hop sometimes. The best don't always get that recognition, but the other artists know. You know what I'm saying? I always thought that was dope.
Yeah. G-Rap, the best.
So then what you do?
Nah, just because you brought up G-Rap.
Yeah, what you saying?
I got in my mind is filled with raps that I grew up listening to as a kid, but that one joint, what was it called? I got a job with this mob making G's, doing some pickups, deliveries, transporting keys. What was the name of that? On the Run. On the Run. That was my jam. Yeah. Amazing storytelling, yo.
Yeah.
I remember my pop.
The original, and then
you go ahead.
I was saying the original On the Run, but then the remix video was so graphic. Even getting water from the water fountain, everything he says.
Really?
The remix video is crazy graphic. Yeah.
Oh, I gotta watch that. All right.
The video is one of those first, not one of the first, but it's everything he says is shown in it. And I was like, yo, this is super ill. But yeah, when you get a chance. But you were saying something about your pops?
Yeah, I was just remembering when my pop heard me listening. He said, wait, I want to talk. I put his brains on the sidewalk. My pops was like, yo, you can't let your mother hear you listen to
this. G-Rap, man. I love G-Rap. So explain to me that importance of like, you know, the videos, like making sure the visual content is just as important as the words. When did you kind of like say like kind of get that gauge of how good the video needs to be and then start winning awards and knowing the quality?
Like, you know, I never really thought about videos at first. The first video I done was for a joint called Lightning Bolt, Lightning Rod. My boy Naheem was like, yo, let's shoot a video for that. You know, like it came to, we got a bunch of my friends together. This is like 2008, 2009 at the latest. You know, the video's still up, but it's not, it's like in low definition, but it's mad fun. The thing was, my first video we ever did, we had to make a lot with a little. So we kind of put our figure caps on. So videos to me, from my first one was let's put our thinking caps on and try to figure out how to make a lot out of a little. So I never, like later on I did some videos where it's like, yo, this looks fly, the background is fly, we just gonna rap. Yeah. But I didn't start that way. So when I think videos, I really come at them from a framework of like, this is another mode of creativity. This is another way to be, you know, I think music videos are great tools, you know, just for giving a song legs or just for promotion, you know. Right. But I definitely think of them as they also need to have a creative angle to them. You know, even if it's just a simple thing like the Carpenter video, my boy Brad Hossie come up with that idea. That was mad simple. I laid on the ground for all the shots sideways, and he turned the camera sideways. So like little kids was running out. It's just a visual little tiny little thing. You know, we was able to do it in a pool. I was lying on a. It just looks unusual, but it just hadn't been done before. You know what I'm saying? So some videos, you know, I got a video for the gut that I done with Edom. We're underwater kicking raps with bookshelves and underwater, like, you know, or I got videos I'm jumping from building to building, like grandiose ideas. But I also got videos where I'm like, yo, what's one thing we could do that makes us look different from other videos that I've seen? You know what I mean? That's important to me. I do a lot of music videos, but I never do music videos unless I feel like it's gonna be fly, even if it's gonna be simple. My next video coming out, I feel like it's simple, but I feel like it's real fly. You know, it's for a jam called Win Win that's on Rich 2, you know? It's real fly. And Danny Sangra had the idea, and it's real, and it hadn't been done. I hadn't seen it before. Danny Sangra, he did the Alchemy video that I just put out where I break from the rap. I just need a fly idea. That needs to be included in the visual, just like it needs to be in the song. There needs to be some novelty going on in the video, like in the song, you know?
Yeah, I enjoy the fact that hip hop does different videos now, weird videos or simple videos or artistic, like that mindset of it. Like I like the literal stuff, of course, too. The literal stuff comes across dope too when you do like people do like short films, movies, kind of like those type of videos. But I love that artistic vibe. So like hearing you talk about the artistic angles of explaining it, I think what's dope, like when people hear you explaining it, they go, all right, well, let me try something different. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, like how, that's why this conversation, I enjoy it, is because the same way we're hearing Black Thought and Jay-Z mention, I'm not wearing no more button ups, no more jerk, you know, like, and we go, all right, that's not, I can't rock that no more. I can't come out with that. It's gonna be people definitely be like, yeah, I used to just do my joints, like I rhyme about this, I'm showing that, I'm doing this. Now people will consider a different take on it, you know. Right. So when you're creating, what's the atmosphere? Nighttime, daytime, when creating, a lot of people in the studio by yourself, what's the best way to come up with the bars for you?
I mean, at this, I'm, sometimes I really writing is I got way more music that I haven't released than music that I have. You know what I mean? Like way, way, way more. I got way more. I got like I'm writing, I'm rhyming in life. Everything else is happening, and what's really happening is I'm writing. That's kind of like the background of everything else is going on. In the meantime, I'm bringing the car to get new brakes or something like that. You know what I mean, or whatever. But so. Like I wrote some fly lines on. I got back from LA yesterday, was out there for a vacation, you know what I'm saying? I woke up, dealing with the time switch. I was lying in bed a little bit, not falling asleep. I wrote a couple rhymes while I was in bed. I write so many rhymes when I'm in bed that I'm too tired to get up and write. If I was ever able to do an album of all the rhymes that I forgot because I was too tired to get up and write them, that'd be a crazy album, like obviously I've gone forever. But and when I'm with people interacting, actually sometimes if I'm working on something, I got a song on a mixtape I put out called I Can't Sell These, that's called Omnipresent.
Yeah.
It was over Angel Rada joint, this cat that made electronic music in the 70s. Just a beautiful, beautiful song. I got so caught up in that. And my wife actually knows what it looks like too, because she sees it all the time when I'm trying to just interact with the world, but I'm really just writing. You know what I mean? But during the Omnipresent joint, everybody saw that. Like, this cat, he's kind of not there. You know what I mean? Because he's writing the whole time until the song is done. But my wife can tell. She used to think I was in a bad mood, but I actually was just, like,
yeah.
So the atmosphere is day, night, hot, cold. I actually used to think to myself, I started right when I was 26, man. And I grew up listening to people like yourself. I grew up listening to amazing artists, but I never dreamt that this would be what I did. I never dreamt. It was just something that was so cool, and I loved it, and it brought me so much. But when I discovered,
when was your first time, like, letting people hear you?
Well, the thing about it was I used to be a pothead, babe, and I used to smoke weed all day, every day long. So I knew I was nice with mine, and I would rap for
Okay.
cats, and I would rap, and we'd be rapping, maybe be freestyling. I even recognized I had an aptitude for it, but I didn't take it seriously until I stopped smoking. So it was only once I stopped, because before that I was like, I can't really be a rapper because I need to be high every day the rest of my life, which I already thought I probably was going to be anyway. But just something told me being dependent on this for where your life goes, maybe you want to quit at some point or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but once I realized that I could really do this and the rhymes was coming from me, I was just unlocking, some comfort in myself using something from the outside. I felt like, yo, I'll never be bored again the rest of my life. Like I had the thought, like, even if I get locked in a dungeon, and I'm in there, I could be thinking of rhymes while I'm locked in a dungeon, which is fun to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so, that's a real major blessing that I think, we as artists, there's so much, I feel like it's a blessing that I feel like I have this escape from boredom always. You know what I mean? Like, there's always something that I can do that revitalizes me, that makes me feel like I'm using my time in a useful way. Even if I forget it the next morning, or even if I'm locked in a dungeon, I never get through. Yo, most of the jams I do, like I've come to a point of comfort. I would still love to get everything I've ever done out, but that might not happen. There might be mad jams that never ever come out. That's okay. I still made them. It's like push-ups. Push-ups make you stronger. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Even if they don't get out there, I made them. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
the atmosphere is awake, I would say. Even though sometimes I wake up with a line,
And then what's your beat picking process? So, this one is it. You sitting on beats for a while. How you go about that?
A couple of different ways. I mean, I got a stash for sure, which is a real kingdom stash, which I really love, which I could always go back to, you know what I mean, if ever I'm looking for something, but I love the joint that hits me right away. I love that, like that happens sometimes too, and other times though there'll be a joint that I'm like, I don't know if I'll write to this, but let me keep it in the stash for if I come back to it, it'll speak to me a different way. A joint I'm going to record when we get done doing this was actually that way. I heard it, I was like, this is kind of compelling, but nothing might happen, but maybe something will, and I wanted to write into it, but the beat picking process is really intuitive, and one thing I'll also say is, when I was now having rhyming all the time for so long, I hear a lot of fly beats, but I won't rap to them because they kind of remind me of something I've already rapped to,
Okay.
So I kind of like that, like I've rapped so much that like I'm continuing to just zero in on new sounds, you know what I mean? That isn't to say I won't just rap over it'll break, because sometimes I'll feel like doing that. But I hear a lot of fly beats now that I don't rap to. Where before it didn't used to be that way. I wanted to rap to every fly beat, but now I hear a fly beat and I'll be like, maybe I'll get to that.
Yeah, I think that's what's interesting when I'm listening to your music. What I love about it is I get so many different sounds that I'm hearing. And that's when I was talking about earlier, like there's no fear to do this, when a lot of us would be like, we like to stay in this comfort zone, this sound like a boom bap, this sound like this and that. If somebody was to ask me like, all right, what does Homeboy Sandman sound like? I would be like, he sounds like music, just like it's not traditional. It's just like it's eclectic, but it's just dope. And he's spitting, but you don't know what you're going to get necessarily. Like I don't think you could. I don't think I could say you're going to get a boom bap beat here. You're going to get this type beat here, and that's what I thought was fire about it, was the way that you're able to just like adjust to whatever the setting was. So now that I've heard so much of it and listened to it, that's what made me enjoy it, because the fact that get some dope breaks, get some nice loops, then might get some up tempo stuff, then the flows is changing, and I was like, fearless to be an MC. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what I think you need to be to kind of reach that plateau of where you are. So yeah, when I heard the beats on there, I was just like, this is there was such a divide at times with being a MC, like, yo, they doing that, I ain't trying to mess with that. And sometimes we like hurt our own selves doing that. And I thought it was dope. I thought it was dope listening and then knowing about you for so long through having mutual friends that you didn't let none of that nonsense stop you from rapping on this. I'm rapping on this. I'm rapping on this, rapping on this, which has gained and probably garnered so much attention and different audiences listening. So how about like when you get a beat, do you have like a whole bunch of beats and then people might hit you back and be like, yo, you messing with that? Like you sitting on a beat too?
Yeah. Shoot, man. I'm sitting on verses from cats that I haven't put out because I was like, yo, that's one thing I need to learn. Like now I don't even ask people, yo, would you hop on a joint? Unless I know it's gonna come out like at least within a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Because I got some verses in the stash. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and I got to figure out what to do. But I'll definitely have beats that I chose, 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But I'll have beats that I chose 10 years ago that, I got a record that is finished called Tenderfoot.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to come out, but it's finished. And that got beats on it that I picked like 7-8 years ago, big. You know what I mean? Like, and cats, but now I let cats know, yo, I may get to that. And if I may get to it, it may come out in 10, 20, 30 years or whatever. But I had to learn that because for a while I would have, people getting impatient, you know what I mean? But what I feel works about,
I had to learn that too, that communication. Yeah, for sure. What you're saying. Yeah,
because otherwise cats, because they'll be hyped. They'll be like, yo, I got a joint with words coming out, you know what I'm saying? And then it'll be like, I can't wait to tell everybody. Then time passed and they're like, yo, what's up?
And then the other thing that I try to share with producers and all that, like, when we ask, send some beats, don't send the beat you think we want. Like, yo, you'll sound good. I think you just send a batch of different sounds, y'all. Like, don't send like, yo, I just heard your last project. I got some joints that sound, and that's what I got from hearing your project. I was like, see, this is dope because he got different joints that people probably sent and then ask him, yo, I'm sending this type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So do you get beats like that? Like people send you all different styles and that's how come you got the diversity on it?
When people say to me, yo, I know your style or I know what you, that even make me like, that even make me a little, I get a little feeling like of irritation or aggravation. You know what I'm saying? But you hit the nail right on the head. What with what you said, you know what I'm saying? Like, give me your range and let me see what I can find in there. You know what I mean? Like, I love beats. Yo, I love when I go sit with a producer come through to play something. I'll say, play me the joints you not playing me. Because I know they're not playing me. You know what I'm saying? Like, play me those joints. And then those will wind up being some of my favorite joints a lot of the time.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So what's the revision process like for you? Song is done once you do it, or it's like, go back, change this line. What's that like for you?
For the most part, like I said earlier, like I'll really keep something in my head till I feel it's ready. You know what I mean? Okay. So I'll work with a line, or I'll work with even an extended section of a song for a while until I feel like it's right. You know what I mean? So a lot of my revision takes place in my head. Because once it gets to the paper or once it gets to the phone, I feel like it generally, boom, this is what we want. On rare occasion, on some, because this actually just happened for the first time in a long time. though. I got an EP that's gonna come out later this year, and I had a joint and I listened to, it was an older joint, and I went and I listened to the song and I said, these two verses is better than this third one. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna cook up a new third verse. But that has happened, but that very, 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 very seldom happens. I think that the fact that song was so old had to do with it. Also, I just felt more comfortable just getting rid of some of the stuff in the third verse. Right. But for the most part, if I record it, there's obviously still, when I'm thinking of revision, I'm just thinking of the words and the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? I'm not thinking of, post-production or anything like that.
Right.
But for the most part, once I record it and I'm like, that's the way it's supposed to sound there, then that's the way, then it's all about the mix and it's all about, what happens after that.
And then do you have like creative blocks? How do you get out of that? Like, I need to go here. What's your way of like that?
Yeah. I mean, for me, this is a spiritual activity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I regard my blockages, or when everything is flowing like that, and sometimes I'll be like, I'll be in times because there'll be some beats that I want to rock and I can't find the access point. I'm like trying to get in, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can't get in,
Yeah.
But then I'll wait till a time when I'm just glowing and I'll just go grab it and I'll cook it. You know what I mean? Like I could do it, So that'll happen sometimes. Other times, I just feel slow and I feel. So what I try to do when I feel slow, I don't even really think of it as a creative block because,
Right.
there's all types of germination. Like I said, on a subconscious level, I'm waiting for things to happen with the rhyme. I'm also in my life, working through, am I treating people the right way? Am I making the right decisions? Like in my life. And that all ties into my creativity. So when I'm sluggish, I just try to think about what did I do today that I could do better tomorrow. And I'm not even thinking about rhymes. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to think, did I wrong somebody today? Was I on the thinking pattern today? Did I let fear make a decision for me today? You know what I mean? Like, let me try to get in touch with myself. When I feel in touch with myself, then the rhyme is just ongoing and gushing. When it starts to slow down, I take that as a sign. This is some time for you to do some introspection. This is some time for you to go, go into the monastery, I call it, go into the monastery and kind of research myself so that I could come back strong, So I don't even think of it as a block though. I just think of it as time that I need to think. You know what I mean? Like, even though, in the time I could get frustrated and I could be like, I want to do this, but I stand back and slow down,
Yeah, I think there's like it's kind of wild because like I agree with what you're saying too. And then I also know we're business people with this now. So you can't even afford a block sometimes. You know what I'm saying? A situation might arise that you can't, ain't that much block in the world. If this check is gonna be this, you like, ain't no block today. You know what I'm saying? So I always think about that too. Like a lot of that times that it comes with the affordability of your time. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? So as far as like, okay, elaborate. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just to elaborate on what you said, like one of the reasons why I love rhyming so much is because I definitely have been at times where I feel like, I can't write a song for my album right now. I can't do that, But if I'm writing all the time, like I did an album once that I don't even like. I won't even want to name it right now because I don't even like it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you're writing all the time, you could pretty much fall out of bed and do something, even if because we're in that. I want to stay in a type of shape creatively that even when I'm out of shape, I could hoop for 3 hours. You know what I mean? I could run back. Like that's so. There have been times when I've had an opportunity. A lot of it is opportunity, and a lot of it is opportunity to work with someone who I feel is really, really gifted, who I want to do a mixing of energy because I can't tap into that without that person. So I want to do this even if I don't feel particularly optimal within myself. But I could still, if I keep myself grounded in creativity, then even when I have a block, which is really, a block or I'm moving slowly, there's still a degree of fitness that I have that I could access, it's like a ground floor,
Yeah. So what are like 3 pieces of your work like you want people to check out if like they never heard of you before or like maybe weren't sure, heard your name, and what would you say? Hey, go check these 3 songs, albums out, videos, whatever, to get to know me.
Well, the last jam I just come out with a video for called Alchemy that I mentioned before.
Yeah.
I love that jam. That's my jam. And the video is real fly and real simple. And I love how it come together. You know what I'm saying? So the first one I would say is Alchemy,
Go.
My second answer is going to be kind of a cheat, but it's the Rich series. Rich 1 and 2 so far.
Yeah.
There's going to be a Rich, but Rich 1 and 2, even though a lot of the songs on them are like they start from 20, each one of those releases has songs as old as 2020, and come to as new as 2024, but they're amalgams of stuff written in that time. My boy Mono and Stereo doing all the producing, you know. But you know, I change, you know, as an artist, you know, with people, and we change. So,
Right.
but there is some stuff I've changed so much that I rewrite the third verse that I jammed the other day. Some stuff I changed so much that I won't mention an album to you that's already out, or I'll never drop these records. Other
Right.
stuff I change, and I feel it's still meaningful to present that as part of the story. So this Rich 1 and 2 series is,
Okay.
you know, the Rich series, I feel is an excellent kind of snapshot of where I've been in the past 5 years. You know what I mean? To you know, where I'm at now. So I feel good. You know, my first record come out in 2007. So I'm really happy when people get hip to me off the Rich joints, because I feel like, okay, they're getting hip to me right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So those are my first two. And then the third, I mean, you know, what's the third? I mean, I'll go back to you know, the Good Son that the Carpenters on. You know, that was a 2010 record. That creatively was a pinnacle for me at that time. It was my first time I was just, as a person, I was very untested. You know what I'm saying? I come out with that reggae. You know, all of the tests that life will throw you with being somebody who people are giving clout to for kicking rhymes, being somebody who's gonna have the opportunity to make questionable decisions because you kick rhymes and you get clout for that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
so I've grown a lot in my life. So I've learned a lot. So there was a lot I hadn't learned at that time. But as far as working with what I had at that time, that was a good pinnacle for me. So looking to take on my new, you know, growth and things that I've experienced, but channel them through the focus that I had at the Good Son time is what I'm looking to do now.
And then my final question is about Doja Cat. Shouting you out, one of her favorite rappers, man. I think this is huge. Let me give you my reason why. Yo, because coming up a lot of times, I would say commercial artists don't want to recognize these influences such as yourself. You know, like they like, you know, if you met somebody that probably was a fan of Doja Cat, they probably would be like, "What? I don't really," but they don't even understand the fact that what you're making is actually inspiring these other trees and people to grow. You know what I'm saying? So like, you hearing about that, what did it have any impact on you? Was it like the same way that you received the breakdancing information? How did you learn about that?
It was similar. Yeah, it was similar. You know, it was interesting. First of all, the point you make about big respect and props to Doja Cat, because so many cats that are at a level of high visibility are way too close mouth about who they are learning from. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, I'm grateful in this conversation. You know, you've talked about Master Ace, you've talked about Cool G Rap, I've talked about, you know, like that's what I appreciate you sharing that with me. I want to share with you because what we do, we owe in part to them. Not that we out here biting them, but we learning from them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So big shout to Doja Cat for being real enough to be like, I listen to this, I listen, you know, like you might not be up on this, but this is something that I'm up on, you know.
Yeah.
I thought that was real fly. But as far as you know, I had people. It's crazy. We living in a crazy world. I mean, I love when anybody shouts me out and spreads the word. Obviously, that was great because mad people
Yeah.
are checking for what he says. But I had people that I've been trying to be like, yo, peep my jams. Like there was one person in particular that I won't even give too many detail about. Somebody might figure out who she is, but she's in this position. I was trying to get at her about getting a look. Like I want this look.
Right.
Base it on how I get down. You could give me access to this look. Anyway, she hit me up after that. Like, yo, congratulations. I'm ready to now give you some access to this look. You know what I'm saying? And it felt gross, babe. It felt gross because it's wild. It's wild how people allow. I love the shout. Thanks so much for the shout. It's great.
Cool.
But it's wild how people are like, oh, okay, we got the thumbs up to like this. Okay, we're going to like this now. We got the cosign that we could say this is cool. Okay. Without that, you know, you talking to me about how you'll hear me rap on something that cats ain't, you know, it sound unusual, you know, that's very much my thing. And I'm so grateful that there are open-minded listeners that want to hear artistic stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I know that I come across and I see me coming across like I've been where people are are we getting a thumbs up to like this? Like this is new. This we don't know. Is this okay? You know, Doja Cat coming out saying "Boy Sand Gets Down" gave a lot of people the thumbs up to say, okay, we could go ahead and say he rocks with this. You know, that was the point about it. That was a little bit icky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'm very, very grateful for it. I mean, I'm very, very grateful for it, and it ties into the Olympic thing too because my life and the generation of the momentum that I get from my art, I'm so grateful to God that I get to make art as a lifestyle, is predicated on miracles. You know what I'm saying? Doja Cat don't gotta come out say I rock with Boy Sand. Olympics don't need to spin a record. You know what I'm saying? These are miracles. You know what I'm saying? And they are really what keeps the engines going in a lot of ways. You know, as far as my joints getting out.
Yeah, I think you know, with dealing with stuff like that, we have to be strategic. Like even you know, all right, you want to give me this look because of this. All right, well, I know your intentions now, but like you know, you can't spite yourself. You know what I'm saying? You got to kind of play.
Yeah, I'll take the look.
Yeah, you know what you know how it is.
Yeah. Now that's true.
But,
that's 100% too. And we got to be forgiving at cats too, because they bugging and we bug sometimes ourselves.
Yeah. We gotta, you know, we know the game. So I gotta also shout out Hezekiah, man. We wouldn't even got this connection. Shout out to Hezekiah. I'm talking to Hezekiah. I actually got to film something for a video for something I did for him, and we're talking, and your name came up. He's like, "Yo, you know Homeboy Sandman?" I was just on the phone with him. I was like, "Nah." I said, "Yo, you know it's crazy. We never really like cross paths like that." Because I had also did the podcast with Hezekiah, so shout out to him. And me and Hezekiah got like several records together. Like we've done videos together. Yeah, we've done songs together, videos, all that. He's done stuff for my albums, all that. And you came up and he was like, I was like, yo, get me in touch with him because it's too much for me. It was too much. Yo, you know what's him, man? Yo, he's dope. And then I'm like, yo, this is crazy how I've never met this man with the dope. You know what I'm saying? I never met you, but everybody I know has met you and know how dope you are. And I'm like, yo, this would be interesting. And then what the podcast is about, I was like, it's just only fitting, man. So I want to.
I love the kind. You know, this is I love rap. People come up to me after the show and they're like, "Yo, will you listen to my joint?" I'll be like, "Yes." Email me one joint. Don't email me 70 joints. But you might be dumb nice, and if you dumb nice, I want to know because I love great rap. I love it. You know what I'm saying? Yo, listen to the new open. I was gonna shout out the new Open Mike Eagle record. Previous Industries is the name of his. That's just a new rap record that I heard that I love. So I just want to shout it out, you know. But you know, I know I'm not the only one. You know, the reason why there's food on my table is because I'm not the only one. But this is a podcast that resonates with cats like me. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do these words mean? Where do they come from? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I just try to. I always want to do a podcast, but I was like, I got to do something I'm passionate about. I don't want to do what other people about. I ain't on no bashing nobody. It's nothing negative. It's really like, people are stuck writing, right? Like some people are stuck. Like they don't know how to figure these things out. They got all the equipment you may have, I may have, but then they're just like they're writing something and then they don't know how to do it. So now, you know, like I say, we are the new teachers. So from this going forward, you know, hip hop has been celebrated 50 years and all that now, 51 years. But like now people are starting to understand the impact of what we do, that people will listen to you before they listen to some teachers and other people. So when you're coming with this stuff, it's so genuine and it's so valuable, man. So I appreciate you coming on the show, man, and then loving hearing about how it's a spiritual journey with you, because that resonates with me too. Just understanding, like, sometimes you sit home and sometimes you just got to reflect on things, man, to make it this far. Reflection is very big to me. And I appreciate everything you've contributed to the game and to the music world, and the fearless attitude and approach you have to making music. I really appreciate it. And more so, like, me having to go listen to all the music, man, I just was like, dang, you know, because I tell people all the time, right? We know each other. You know people, I know people. Everybody's dropping so much music. When do we have time to hear everybody's albums?
Right, for
right?
sure.
So this was a perfect time for me to go, word, let me go back. I got time to go back and, you know, and absorb it, man. So I want to thank you for using your time and being on the show. Is there anything you would like people to know you got coming out and how to contact you, any social media stuff?
I got a tour. I got the Wild Wild Rich tour coming out on a side of the country opposite New York, you know, California, Utah, and, you know, Oregon and all that whole area. You know what I'm saying? The Wild Wild Rich tour. I got a bunch of joints coming out, but for me, I have an email blast. I do the email blast, and if anybody want to be in touch with my email blast, you can just email me at homeboysandman@gmail.com. I'll put you on that blast, and I'll let you know whatever's popping. I got my Patreon too. It's patreon.com/homeboysandman, and I'm always dropping joints on there. But you know, other than that, I would just say that we got some fly joints coming out. I got 2 joints coming out in October, and I got the tour coming out in October. You know, so if you anybody want details on that, you know, like my email is homeboysandman@gmail. You know what I'm saying? Get a kid a shout. You know, that's the best way. In all likelihood, if you shout me out there, I'll add you to the newsletter. I'll just add, you know, it's not like we'll talk about whatever. But if you got something cool to say, I'll definitely got something cool to say too. You know what I'm saying?
Dope. So once again, thank you, Homeboy Sandman, for being on the show. And like always, what are your words worth? Peace, y'all. Yeah, man. I appreciate this, man.